thrive, we can do our best work, we can be our best self, and we can reach our full potential. And I believe you've got talented leaders with excellent people professionals, you can really go places. So a few years ago, I set up my blog, KirstinFurber.com, and it was really to support leaders of what's going on at the moment, but what are some of the practical things? You know how everything's quite complicated, just give me like 4 or 5 tips that I can think about. And that really started to create a little bit of a conversation. And from there, I started to really explore banishing the Sunday night blues. And that's what I'm going to share with you. I'm going to say over the next 15 to 20 minutes, because I'm assuming you may have questions, and if you don't, then you can go and get some wine, and that might help to connect with banishing Sunday night blues. We will see. So what I'm going to talk through is, what is the Sunday night blues? Why is it important? Some initial results from some research that we've been doing with Exeter University, hot off the press. And I want to leave you with some practical tips of things to think about. And then I'd love to get your thoughts and observations after that. So, banishing the Sunday night blues. Take your minds back to the weekend. That is the worst question to ask on a Wednesday, isn't it? Because it's like, which weekend am I going? Am I going back or am I going forward? For those of you who were in the UK, it was a very sunny Sunday afternoon. You just like, get that in your mind. Can you remember what you were doing? Can you remember what you were thinking? When did you start thinking about Monday morning? What was going on for you on that Monday? How did you turn up to Monday morning? So just wind now from Sunday night to Monday morning. Did you start your first meeting feeling really refreshed, ready to go? I've got this new perspective, come on team, let's go. Or were you a little bit tired, bleary-eyed? What did we talk about last week? Like, where were you? Anyone experience any of that? There's a few nods going on around the room. So I started to talk about this with friends and colleagues, and it really did start to resonate quite a bit. Some of you are in the room today, like, actually, yeah, I do have the Sunday night blues. And it's quite interesting when I was talking to, my manager, who's like, actually, I do as well. That's really interesting. Oh, I wonder when that happens. So for me, it was quite like, there's something going on here, which is really important. Now, if we're starting Monday not feeling in our best place, what does that mean in terms of the impact we're having on others that we're working with? And what's the impact of the other people we're working with in terms of what we're doing across the organisation? So, why is this important? Now we all know, I'm sure you've heard it all day today, we've all been talking about it for 2 years, the world is really, really complicated. The pandemic overnight, I know I'm saying everything we know, has just changed us completely. For those of you working on global conference calls, I don't know about you, it was suddenly so weird being on a call at home, not quite sure how to connect, and suddenly the US, Asia, Europe, UK, like we're all in it together, and it was just like, oh wow, this is just like crazy. And we know all of the challenges that I'm sure we've been talking around today around hybrid working. Consumers, as consumers ourselves, we've actually got a little bit more fussy, particularly around the pandemic. Don't know about anyone else, it's like, oh well, I can't get that then, and I want it really cheap as well, right? And I want to have a really good experience when I'm on the website, and I'd like to ensure that the specific thing, I'd like it now. So that's quite a challenge for those of us who are actually working in those organisations, where we're starting to think about how do we hire those skills, how do we look to organise ourselves in a cost-effective way, is a real challenge. We're seeing more focus on the environment. All really good. Targets are being set. How do we really protect our planet for the future? That's creating more challenge and more thoughts that we need to think as leaders. We know the economy is being pressurised, fuel rise, cost of living. Our supply chain, right, I'm not going to depress you too much, but you see I'm painting a bit of a picture, is being really challenged, and sometimes we can't get the tools to do our jobs in terms of some of the tech. And we know there's a terrible personal loss that's going on in the Ukraine war at the moment. So this is a massive pressure for us as leaders, for people we're leading, our wellness, physically and mentally. So what are we going to do about it? If you think about yourselves and going back to a typical weekend, I'm saying typical weekend because I know not everyone works Monday to Friday, but a typical weekend, if you are working Monday to Friday, how important are your weekends? For recuperation, perspective, quality time with family and friends, every hour is counting. So if you've got the Sunday night blues and you're not starting the week in the best place, that is having a really big impact on our whole world, I would say. So for me, it's a really, really important issue. However, let's bring it down to ourselves as leaders.